My dad was out of town, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to spend an hour or so getting to know her better. When I got there, about a dozen people popped out of hiding to surprise me. There were pink and blue decorations everywhere, making it pretty clear what was going on. As I stood there in shock, my father's girlfriend excitedly told me they were throwing me a surprise gender reveal party. Since I had already told her, she had taken it upon herself to order a cake with colorful frosting, decorate the apartment, and invite a bunch of people over. The guests included her mother, whom I don't get along with, some of her friends, my mother-in-law, and 4 of my friends. As I later found out, my mother-in-law and friends had been told I had changed my mind about gender reveals. I had not done that. Still in the doorway, I looked over at everyone and said, "It's a boy. You guys can go home now." I left without looking back. Hours later, my father called me, furious that I had ruined the party. He said his girlfriend had put a lot of effort, money, and love into planning it, and I should have shown respect and gratitude for it. Apparently, she hadn't stopped crying since I left. It's been almost a week, and they're both still upset. Even after I explained I never wanted that party in the first place, they insist I could have sucked it up for an hour, or at least cut the cake. Am I wrong here? Commenter. Nah, not the jerk. This smacks of her trying to prove that she cares about you more than your mom, especially since either your mom wasn't invited or she turned down the invitation to respect your wishes. She doesn't seem to understand that the way to prove she cares about you is to actually listen to what you want and don't want. Ops response. I asked my mom, and she confirmed she wasn't invited. According to my father's girlfriend, she didn't have her number. That's probably true, but I have no idea how she could have gotten my mother-in-law's. I think the real reason is that she knew my mom wouldn't back her up. If my mother had been invited, she would have told me everything. She knows I wouldn't want a gender reveal. Commenter. Your actions were a reflection of how you feel about your father's girlfriend, not about spending time with people who love and respect you and are looking forward to your little one's arrival. Ops response. If she wants a get-together, she can throw a party. She does not need to make it about my child's gender, especially after I told her not to. My friends and mother-in-law indeed thought they'd come for me, and I spoke to them afterward. But I will not believe that her mother and friends were there because they cared about me. You're not the only one assuming I don't like my father's girlfriend. That is not true. But when I tell someone I don't want something multiple times and they go ahead and do it anyway, I don't have to stick around. And no, this was not about the hormones. Update 1. Thank you for all your replies, especially those who called me the jerk for having a gender reveal. I'm assuming you didn't read my post, but you still cracked me up. All jokes aside, I've been expected to be a pushover for most of my life, older daughter of divorced parents, so it was good to know I was right to stand my ground on this issue. After reading your comments, I've concluded that the only thing I did wrong was leaving without talking to my friends and mother-in-law. They were lied to and put in an awkward position after I left. I did talk to them the next day and apologized, but I wish I'd told them what was going on. A few days ago, my fiancé and I invited my father and his girlfriend over. I told them I was extremely upset with them both, but I wanted to sort this out peacefully. We still ended up fighting. My father agreed with some points I made but kept insisting that I was ungrateful and owed his girlfriend an apology. She was quiet at first but started crying about 20 minutes into the fight. My father's girlfriend said she threw the party because she cared about me and that she'd want one if she was pregnant. She started talking about all the gender reveal videos she'd watched on TikTok and how happy the parents look in them. She told me she genuinely thought I'd love it and couldn't understand why I'd been so rude to her. To my surprise, my fiancé was the first to snap at that, and he's usually the calm one. He told her to stop calling it my party since she clearly threw it for herself. He pointed out that I had expressed countless times that I didn't want a gender reveal, and I was well within my rights to leave when she tried to ambush me with one. The fight didn't go on for much longer after that. Near its end, my father asked me why I hadn't at least played along for a while. I told him I went there expecting to spend an hour with someone I've been meaning to get to know better, not to spend my entire afternoon entertaining a dozen people, more than half of whom I either didn't know or didn't like, who got together to talk about my child's private parts. I didn't mean to upset anyone, but I had to get out. My father didn't argue with that. There were 2 main pieces of advice from your comments that I decided to follow. The first was to tell my father's girlfriend she needed to apologize to my friends and mother-in-law for lying to them. She agreed, and they later confirmed she did. Secondly, neither of them will be allowed to meet my son at the hospital when he's born. My father had been looking forward to this, so it wasn't an easy decision, but I made it clear it was final. My father called me the next day to apologize for everything, and I forgave him. I don't expect an apology from his girlfriend, but I'm done feeding that fire. My life is stressful enough as it is. My son will be here in November. He already has a name, and we've just started working on his nursery. I truly can't wait to meet him. Commenter. The obsession over gender reveal parties has really gotten out of hand. I'm glad you stood on business. You said you didn't want a party, so the girlfriend should have listened. I agree with your fiancé in saying that the party was for your father's girlfriend since she made her feelings more important than the actual pregnant person's feelings. She needs to understand that her feelings do not matter in this situation.